10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and time has elapsed. Once the time has elapsed, participants are requested to not continue with their round because anything that has been said after that would not be considered for the purpose of scoring by the judges. So it is your duty to ensure that the rounds are completed and winded up in the last few minutes. Okay. All right, with that, I welcome everyone to the finals of the first NLUO-GAJE National Negotiation Competition. And the teams that we have for today have broken in to the finals from 28 different teams. And the teams that we have today are N23, that's Symbiosis Law School, Pune, and N25, that is National Law Institute University, Bhopal. We welcome the teams and we congratulate them on their performances throughout the competition, and we wish them all the luck possible for the finals. With that, judges, if I may take your permission and start with the round.
Yes, please.
All right. Teams, you can start with the round. Your timestamps.
So, good evening to one and all present here. My name is Ananya, and I'm here as a proud founder of CropTech Innovators that aims to revolutionize the cultivation with the aid of technology, crop cultivation. Today, I'm assisted by my General Counsel, Ms. Shania, and please feel free to refer to me as Ananya. At the outset, I would like to thank Harvest Hub International for accepting our proposal and the council also for choosing to opt for this process of negotiation to decide the terms of this venture. Recognizing the complexity of these transactions or the terms of the transactions that we are in currently, entering into these discussions demonstrates a commitment in order to enter into conclusions that favor the interests of both the parties, that is us, CropTech Innovators, and you, Harvest Hub International. So before we begin, I'd like to give a brief background about myself and my venture and how have we come here to this position. So I am an IIT Bombay and an IIM Bangalore alumni with my master's in agricultural practices. Coupled with my affinity for environment, I aim to optimize and boost crop yield with the integration of technology. And this is where my venture comes. So my venture, CropTech Innovators, aims to modernize traditional farming practices using technological innovations. And I aim to disrupt the status quo of this market and establish a pioneering agri-tech ecosystem in this nation. Through this joint venture, we aim to bring about a cutting-edge automation in this agricultural field, precision agricultural techniques, and data-driven insights, in order to boost crop production, better crop yields, and streamline the supply chain models. So before we process any further, we would like to congratulate you, or rather, we can both congratulate ourselves because of us achieving tremendous progress in terms of coming to the terms of this transaction till this in the previous rounds of negotiation till today. So it is all right, and it's fine, obviously, because business transactions may face hiccups at the initial stages, because we obviously don't want these hiccups to happen later on. So for this to resolve such a hiccups and such deadlocks, we are here today in order to proceed further with this transaction. With that, I thank Harvest Hub International for agreeing to this process of negotiation, and I hand it over to my counsel, Ms. Shania.
Thank you, Ananya. A very good evening to everybody. I am Shania Sinha, the legal representative of Ms. Ananya. You can refer to me as Shania. Let me start by saying that I'm extremely grateful to Max and her counsel for taking out their time and being present here this evening. Well, before I delve into the concerns we would like to address today, as a preliminary matter, I would like to clarify that my role as a counsel in today's negotiation is going to be purely in an advisory and facilitative capacity. In doing so, I would be clarifying any technicalities, legal or otherwise, while also assisting my client to assess the viability of each proposal. We wish to make use of the win-win and dual concern model to establish a mutually agreeable solution. The power to make any final decision, however, that flows through this negotiation would rest solely on Ananya. Now, Ananya has already very well explained about herself and how she's built his company over the years. This negotiation is regarding certain important considerations of the partnership agreement. We would like to assure you that we completely understand your concerns and are willing to keep them in mind before proposing anything so that the outcome is mutually beneficial to both parties. At the same time, we urge you to be enough receptive regarding our concerns as well. Now, during the course of this negotiation session, we aim at going with the discussion in a stepwise fashion. The important agendas are being proposed in this order of priority. First being discussion and understanding the stipulation to the penalty clause proposed by you. The second agenda being higher guarantees in case of delays that's proposed by us. And thirdly, orchestrating the involvement of an indigenous team of scientists and orchestrating personal visits to pre-existing processing centers erected by the company, thereby fostering a comprehensive understanding of the operational dynamics. Looking forward to a fruitful negotiation session.
Hi everyone, I am Max. I am the CEO of Harvest Hub, and I'm sure Ananya knows me. I have met you a couple of times now for the negotiation of our previous venture as well. Ananya, even though we have met a few times before now, I believe that something that will help you understand me and the way my business functions is the fact that I have grown up as a farm boy. My family had a huge farm in Australia, and I have grown up in that farm. And I think we're more alike in this respect because I too went to MIT. I too have an engineering degree. And when I went to MIT, I felt like I had left my farm life way behind me. And boy, could I be more wrong. Because it was there that I realized the kind of power the amalgamation of technology and agriculture could bring to the farming sector. And so I, along with my mates, we decided that this was something that we had to work on. And we decided with research, it was primarily a research-based organization when we started, but we've only grown since. And so we've expanded into manufacturing and providing technological solutions to other companies as well. But what remains the driving force behind my business and my company is the idea of collective growth. We truly believe that technology and technological solutions are something that need to be shared with other countries as well, which is why we have our operations, at least 7 operations in a variety of different countries. There are operations in USA, but also the developing world, right? We have operations in Mexico and also South Asian countries such as Pakistan. And India was always on our vision. And it was then that I met you, Ananya, and we couldn't be more delighted to have encountered your organization, your startup, because I feel like our goals aligned perfectly. And the negotiations that proceeded, they were so smooth. And it is for that very fact that I am saddened by the unfortunate turn of events. And this is precisely what I'm here to discuss. I hope that we can discuss the issues that have led us here, and also discuss each other's vision. I have heard from you, and I hope that we can somehow incorporate each of our visions and what we seek into a collective or mutually amicable solution and agreement that benefits both of our parties. And with that, I'd just like to express my hope with regard to this session today, and my counsel will take over now.
Hello, everyone, and extremely good morning. I'm Harsha, and I'm present here in the capacity of my client Max's legal counsel. My pronouns are she, her. And first of all, I would just like to thank Ananya and Shania for being here with us today to discuss this present issue at hand. It really does indicate maturity on both parts. Also, at the outset, I must tell that my role today is of an advisory capacity, and I shall only work to guide my client through the process, as she has the power to take any and all decisions today. Also, whatever that happens in the 4 walls of this meeting shall remain within the 4 walls of this meeting today. Nothing that has been exposed or revealed today will be divulged or before or shared with anybody else. I shall also make sure that we don't delve into the technicalities or the legal aspects of the dispute, but rather try to understand where both of us are coming from. With that, my client's legal interests so far for the session are first, discussing and resolving the issues that have erupted so far, and second, renegotiating the terms of the indemnity and penalty clauses. I shall also be carefully taking down all prospective proposals and resolutions and other points of mutual agreement for the convenience of iterating them at the end of the session. And also, if at any point you see me looking down, be rest assured that I'm looking at my notes and you have my undivided attention throughout the session. I also believe that good communication is the only key to bridging confusion. And in this discourse, I hope that we're able to mend any ruptures that have existed in the matter. And as you know, the bamboo that bends is stronger than the oak that resists. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Harsha. I think before we can start, let's just finalize what are the common agendas and set them so that we can go in a stepwise fashion. How about, because we know that one of your interests today is that you want to give a stipulation to the penalty clause, if I'm not wrong, right? So we could go ahead with that first. Then even we had proposed to you that we also would like higher guarantees in case of delays. So that could be second. And third, we wanted to propose the involvement of an indigenous team of scientists. So that could be the third agenda. Would that be okay with you? Would that structure be okay?
Madam Council, might I suggest a more circular approach to this agenda setting? I feel like the issue of indemnities and penalties, these are more related. And so perhaps we could club the two together, discuss them.
Okay, all right. So you're saying the first and the second agenda we clubbed, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely works. Okay, so great. Now that we've agreed on the agendas, I think before we delve further into the issue, I believe it is important to facilitate open and constructive communication. This dialogue can potentially lead to a way more productive negotiation process and a mutually satisfactory resolution. Your demand for a stipulation or conditions in the compensation for delay clause were rather sudden for us and came when we had almost wrapped up with the negotiations. In that regard, we'd like to gather whatever information that we may have missed in the process. I think Ananya would like to ask a few questions and gain some clarity.
So, with regards to the stipulations that you proposed, suddenly the changes occurred. I have two questions in order to understand that what is your position in this and where are you coming from? So my first question would be whether could you provide us with more insight into the factors that led to this introduction of the stipulation clause for comprehensive indemnity in the penalty clause. I really want to understand the rationale behind this change, and accordingly we can align ourselves with your vision. Secondly, that in light of this comprehensive indemnity clause, are there any specific factors or specific concerns that Harvest Hub anticipates that might increase the likelihood of project delays beyond the initially agreed timeline? If you could please provide me answers for these two questions, maybe I could align my interests accordingly.
Definitely, Ananya. I'd be more than happy to answer all those questions. Firstly, the indemnity clause that was suggested, that was meant to be more of a protection for the investments that we're making in this country. Understand that we are a big company, yet we also operate with a business mindset. And so we need to ensure that our investments are protected. And given that yours is a startup, a fairly new one, we feel that there are additional requirements when it comes to protecting those investments. Secondly, about why we introduced this idea so late into the negotiations. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we have our operations in several other countries, including a South Asian country, which is Pakistan. And something we realized while working in these countries was that there might be geographical factors that may affect the way that we operate. And in order to protect our company against and our investments against those geographical factors and the uncertainty that it brings to the table, we wanted to introduce that clause. And I understand that there have been apprehensions on your end as well, which is where our question comes in. We'd like to know more about why you were so opposed to the idea of an indemnity, and what was your rationale behind increasing the amount stipulated within these, as my counsel would put it, penalty clauses. I think my counsel can better phrase that.
Adding on to what Max has said, another point to be heard right now is that we have to look at the amount of investments that have been put into this project, right? It is a project expected to be worth rupees 30 crores. So far, CropTech has invested 2.5 lakhs in it, while Max and his company Harvest Hub has invested 15 lakhs in it. That is almost 6 times the amount. So that kind of investment of amount necessitates protection or mechanisms and safety nets that we need. It is nothing but a safety net that we just needed for the investments that Max has made.
Right. I get your point. And I acknowledge as to your concerns regarding this, the geographical boundaries that you mentioned. But what I would like...
Ananya, just a second, your voice is not really audible. The voice is really faint.
Okay, I'll just repeat myself. So I said that I acknowledge your position, and I also get your concerns regarding the geographical presence of our so-called friendly neighbor Pakistan. But but I get it. I get your concerns. But I believe this introduction of this indemnity clause, it kind of goes against the basic principles of this partnership arrangement, because since you've initially agreed to share profits and losses as per our initially decided say equity or say partnership, and in accordance to that, I think we should also go ahead. So in this regard, this introduction of the indemnification clause suddenly feels like that that initial part, that our partnership arrangement that we have, that has been ignored. And I believe that maybe we could discuss regarding the erroneous things that might have happened. And secondly, that this practice of including indemnification clauses, right? This happens in, say, a contractual agreements, like where there's two independent parties. Now, what happens is that, say, the contractor invests and suddenly he's not being able to, he found himself in a deadlock when the investment was made, and he lost the opportunity cost of investing into some other party or some other entity. So in that case, these clauses come to come to fruition when they protect those contractors. But herein, we are coming together in order to achieve, say, a common goal, a joint goal of revolutionizing and democratizing the agricultural industry with the help of technology and boosting the farmers' income. So in that regard, I believe that clause introduction, I did not really find it very necessary, because we already have an arrangement wherein we are equally distributing the profits as well as the losses. Lastly, when it comes to the say the higher guarantees that we want, that we are demanding for. So in that regard, which is also one of your questions. So in that case, we were proposing that why this needs to be done is because when you're saying that we have invested 2.5 lakhs and you have invested 17.5 lakhs, if I'm not wrong, then that is almost 6 times, yes. But the thing is, we have sanctions from the government. We have allowances from the government that crosses, say, 3-4 times the current valuation of the project. So we are cautiously treading and investing bit by bit in order to understand the intentions, in order to understand how this Harvest Hub will operate. Rest assured, we have a lot of funds backed by our government in order to boost the farmer sector. So in that regard, we have been investing small amounts. That is not to say we do not want to invest. Obviously, we will invest because both of us can agree on this, that we see the potential in this field, right? So in that regard, with respect to the higher guarantee clause, what I want to propose is that, considering that the government is looking over this project, considering that the government has its interest over this project, and overall this will help the entire nation, what we could do is that, say, we could agree for 0.5% of the total invested, the value of the project, but it should be capped at a maximum of 78 weeks. For 78 weeks, that is exactly 1.5 years. as opposed to the current 20-week timeline, which I believe is very less, that only amounts to 1.5 crores, if my calculations are correct, and my counsel will assist in this. But that assurance of just a tiny 1.5 crores will not help us, and the government might not find it reassuring to proceed further with this allowance that has been given to us. I can also assure you that in case this, and this is not known to the public, but in case this joint venture works out, we might be looking forward to multiple processing centers in the future if this works out. So I'd like to hear your opinion on that.
Adding on to that, I have just one question. Max, if you could help me out. Have there actually been instances in Harvest Hub's past projects where similar indemnity clauses were included? If so, could you share examples of how such clauses were implemented and their outcomes? It'll be better for us to understand what outcome we will get if we kind of agree to whatever you're saying.
I'd firstly like to respond to whatever Ananya has said. Since a lot of information was thrown at us, firstly, with regard to the nature of our relationship, Ananya, just a clarification here. I understand that it was more of a collaborative effort when it came to this joint venture of ours, but this was before we came to know about these externalities that have been affecting our projects in other South Asian nations as well. Countries that share geographical factors with India as well. And it was keeping in mind these considerations that we tried introducing this indemnity clause, because before this externality had came to our knowledge, this project would have been more collaborative. But now that we know that our investments might be at risk, we'd like to protect them in a manner as efficient as we can. Secondly, about the government sanctions that you'd mentioned, are these government sanctions something that are going to affect the future of this venture? If so, we'd like to know more about these sanctions. And thirdly, answering your counsel's question, I think my counsel would be better placed to answer that question. But as far as I know, such indemnity clauses have been included in some of our operations before. But since this is a new development, I don't think any of these clauses have been implemented. But my counsel would know more about this.
Thank you so much, Max. So as far as the question that Shania asked is concerned, yes, we've had indemnity clauses introduced in contracts in previous contracts and collaborations. However, they have not been implemented yet, right? So I think we should be rest assured they probably will not be implemented again. Hopefully they're not. But now that we have answered that question, we also have another question that we would really like to hear from Ananya about the government sanctions part. I believe that was left a bit confused, and I think we should talk a bit more about it.
All right, definitely, I'll help you with that. So as of now, we have invested around 2.5 lakhs. What I wanted to suggest is that we have government backing in this entire venture, in this entire project, in order to support the betterment of the farmers of India. So if with regards to that, we have a lot of funds that will allow us to expand our projects. So the government, ideally the government would want that this joint venture happen, like the partnership or this venture works out well. And in that regard, the government would also want us to be would like us to be prudent with our funds. So that's why we've been investing a small amount, but that isn't stopping us from investing more as per the market demands. Obviously, we shall invest. What I'm saying is that if this venture works out, you will have government backing as an entity, as a foreign entity from Australia. When you come here and when you're partnering with us, you are getting the approval of the government, and that I believe is should be a motivating factor for you, because with regulatory approvals in your hand, your process of conducting business will be very seamless. So in that regard, I was suggesting that if this venture works out, if we get a higher guarantee, so that we can also show to our government, our higher authorities, that yes, we have been working out this project in a phased manner, which in a responsible manner, not squandering the funds that you've allowed us. In that case, we'll also be able to expand our processing centers into multiple numbers across the country, if you could consider that.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for that explanation. However, we have a follow-up question. Is there anything in this, let's say in this contract or whatever that you signed with the government, is there anything that prevents you from signing an indemnity clause or a penalty clause with us in exchange for the sanctions?
Not really. Nothing prevents us from doing that. But I believe we are very much accountable to the government for the funds they're allocating. It's a huge amount, I can tell you that. So in that case, that's why we want a higher guarantee as well as, say, you could do away with indemnification clause, because usually that's not a practice which we undertake in partnership arrangements. Yeah.
Ananya, I remember you mentioning this offer of extending the penalty clause that was stipulated in our previous contract to 78 weeks, and also extending this amount to 0.5% of the total amount. Could we get the rationale behind that? I mean, I understand that frugality is important here and that government funds are involved, but I believe that the existing contract and the stipulations that are already existing in our contract were also sufficient in terms of penalty. And given the fact that this might harm both of our interests, in case of even the slightest delay, 0.5% of the entire amount, which is 30 crores, is a huge amount. And which is why I feel that more understanding your rationale behind this proposal would help us determine if this is something that is viable for our business as well.
Definitely. If my counsel would like to add, or should I continue?
You can start. I can.
Definitely. So the rationale is that in case of any hassles, and considering that the government would want us to expand the processing centers in the future, suppose this venture doesn't work out, the government would want us to say recover the amount invested and subsequently proceed with other startups in this domain, because as we can see that there is other entities in this domain. So if in that regard we would also want to recover the finances that, say, we lose because of some certain contingencies. Precisely, this is why we are keeping the timeline high up, and also the percentage. I mean, we are always open to discussions regarding the amount that we can come up to, regarding the percentages that we can come up to. So I'd like to hear more on this from you.
Yes. So just adding on to this, we think that the idea of bringing or amending the compensation for delay clause also aligns with Harvest Hub's approach. We think that if Harvest Hub is concerned about potential financial losses, then seeking higher guarantees aligns with their approach to risk mitigation. It demonstrates that crop tech innovators are committed to sharing the burden of potential setbacks and are willing to take steps to address any financial implications. We think that initially when we had signed this contract, there was a certain balance. And now that there's a particular amendment that you are proposing, we think that the balance has shifted a little bit. So just to bring it back in place, we think that this is important. Further, I think that the introduction of the indemnity clause might suggest that there might be substantial financial risks associated with project delays. Now, requesting higher guarantees would provide crop tech innovators with a safety net as well. Just like how you want to protect your interests, it would also provide a safety net for us, ensuring that our company's financial stability is not compromised in the event of project delays. Delays in the project, of course, have a cascading effect, including missed market opportunities, increased costs, potential damage to the reputation of a company. Seeking higher compensation just guarantees that we will be able to secure our financial position in the future.
I understand, Ananya and Madam Counsel, but these penalties are with regard to delayed operations and not with regard to external factors that might affect the success of this venture, which is why we proposed an indemnity clause in the first place. I think I should talk more about what has led me here. Perhaps that will help you understand my position. Now, the geographical factors, more particularly the soil that we see in the South Asian countries such as yours, is slightly precarious, more precarious than the countries that we've had our previous operations in. And it is because of this precarity that we seek to ensure that our investments are protected. And given the fact that the government is also interested in this venture, I feel that introducing an indemnity clause should not be as hard, because I am sure the government of India understands the value of our investment, which is foreign investment essentially, in their country as well. And I am sure they'd be more than willing to provide some sort of guarantee to us, just so we can continue with this relationship and collaboration of ours. Moreover, even if this is something that does not seem as amenable to your company, perhaps we could explore other areas as well. I am open to considering buying or entering into a joint insurance policy as well. Anything that even remotely resembles a safety net for our company's investments would be more than welcome. We're willing to discuss these ideas, but I'd require some form of affirmation from your side as well, if it is something that you're willing to consider.
No, definitely. We're here with a very open mindset, and we're definitely considering what you're saying. However, it's slightly contingent on our demand for the compensation clause be amended. Reason already stated that because you're trying to protect your financial interests, we're also trying to protect our financial interests. So we can definitely consider, provided you are willing to also consider our interests. So we would like to hear from you more on that.
Yeah, definitely, Shania. But the point remaining is that when we consider a joint risk insurance, that reduces the onus on your company, right? So now I believe that it is only fair that we reduce the compensation amount for it. If that is something that can be considered, if we reduce the amount of weeks that we had proposed, if I get a confirmation for 72 or 75 weeks.
We proposed 78 weeks.
78 weeks, correct.
Yeah, that's exactly 1.5.
That can be reduced to, let's say, 42 weeks. Would that be viable to you? But given that now we're not imposing an indemnity clause, it's just a joint risk insurance.
All right. So if I may understand this correctly, so the joint risk insurance would give us both on put us both on an equal standing, if I'm getting you correctly.
Yeah.
All right. In that regard, since you also have extended your you have considered our position and our interest, it is very much fair that I should also do for yours. In that regard, how about, say, so we proposed a 0.5% on a 78-week basis. How about we do something like, say, a 0.3% for 55 weeks? Does that suffice with you?
Ms. Ananya, I don't think that would be very viable for our company either, because as I think this is something that has come up in our previous negotiation sessions as well, which is that we would like to protect AR investments, but also we do have a paucity of funds in terms of allocating them for risk mitigation. And so I believe that increasing that interest, that rate of penalty is not viable at all. But we can still reconsider those weeks. So what we propose instead is that we keep the penalty rate at 0.2% of the total amount, but perhaps the number of weeks could be renegotiated. Because understand, ma'am, that entering into a joint insurance policy is something that would protect both of our interests. And I think that also addresses your concern with regard to the nature of this collaboration. You had mentioned that you felt perhaps that this collaboration was moving away from a balanced one. And so we feel that a joint insurance policy is a very fair approach to address both our concerns and yours. And also, again, coming back to the weeks, I don't think 55 weeks either would be something that would be able to ensure. Perhaps we can extend it to 42 weeks, but I think that would be the limit that we're willing to go to. And that is the most economically viable option for our company as well. Now, I'd like to hear your opinions on that proposal as well.
Right, definitely. Since you've stated, because I don't want to lose track of the fact that we both are coming together for a common goal, right? So hearing our interests out, maybe we can, yes, we can bring it down to 0.2%. That is, we are not changing the rate. But I feel that we might need to draw the line at 52 weeks. That is 1 year. And maybe it becomes a tad bit harder for us to, adjust our position beyond 52 weeks. So in case if you could think about that.
Ms. Ananya, I think we lost your counsel. Should we wait for her to join?
Just a second.
Yes, thank you, Max. I'm here.
Yeah. So I'll repeat what I said. So we can again bring it down to 0.2% because again we are coming towards a common goal. But like I said, it'll be a bit harder for us to go beyond 52 weeks, like go below 52 weeks in the timeline. So if you could please consider that. Thank you.
Ms. Ananya, our problem here is a give or take, right? So if we were to go beyond 42 weeks, that is the most economically viable option for my client, then we will have to resume to the indemnity clause. So it's either an indemnity clause with the proposal that you've given of 52 weeks or 55 weeks. And if you're to remove the indemnity clause, then it has to be the joint risk insurance, but with the previous rates only, given that we're increasing it to 42 weeks. So if that is a proposal, that I think it sums it up, if you can consider that.
We understand, but again, like we already said, we really want to protect our interests as well, as much as we want you to protect your interests. So we're absolutely okay with you, with the joint insurance proposal that you gave us. But I think the last bit that we can go down to is 50 weeks. I don't think we'll be able to go down further because then we'll be unable to protect our interests. We think that it'll be very, very imbalanced. So the last thing that we can propose is 50 weeks.
And adding to that, I believe because we have to answer to the government for the funds as well. So 50 weeks is where I think we'll be able to draw the line. Now it's up to you, ma'am.
Ms. Ananya, Mr. Naya, definitely appreciate the proposal in consideration, but I think the only question that we have at juncture is that how do you think this is going to be mutually beneficial for us? I mean, our discussion started from the fact that the deal or that our collaboration is not balanced anymore, and now it's resuming to the same thing, only on the opposite side. So if we could get to a more balanced approach, I would just, if you believe that this is a balanced approach, I would just like and this be mutually beneficial to us as
well. Could you just repeat the last line? I think there was a network error. I couldn't really get you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, the last line was that how is it going to be mutually beneficial to my client's company as well? The proposal
yeah, definitely. So the thing is, we are drawing a hard line on this 50 weeks is because the entire governmental like the entire aspect of us being answerable to the government. In that regard, see, because we have funds allocated to us to the tune of, say, which is 3 times the current valuation of our venture. So in that regard, it becomes very tough for us because say, and God forbid, no, but say this venture doesn't work out and we are unable to recover the finances, the government may redact the allowance that they'd given us because we weren't able to answer them properly. And this would also hamper my vision or hamper my goal, which is to say revolutionize the agricultural industry and go ahead with the other 2 processing centers. That because of this added responsibility on me, because of this added pressure on me of say being able to answerable to the funds that I have, and for the aim of increasing my portfolio would be the wrong word, increasing the total number of processing centers that are available throughout the country, which will again help the greater good, which is for the greater good of the farmers. This is why we are kind of a bit stringent, or if you say a bit hardlining on the 50 weeks timeline. We are retaining the 0.2% because again we agree on that, and the joint insurance policy would balance it out. But this added this clause is coming because of the governmental pressure, and I assure you, because if we achieve this in this negotiation session, so we're achieving one deadline early, and that way we can keep on going forward with the project without facing any delays. And again, this clause only comes into effect where we say we are delayed in the projects, and I believe not, because both of us, you have so much experience, and I deal with technology. When these two are integrated together, I believe there should not be any delays, and so that's why we are like kind of focused on getting onto this and maybe resolving this as soon as possible.
Well, adding on to that, we also have a couple of similar projects lined up. So if this partnership works out well, we would love to partner with you on the other two projects as well. So that's also an added benefit that you get. Maybe you
so
consider
in
that.
light of that, if you could please consider that, because once this venture works out between the both of us, that is Harvest Hub and CropTech, the other two ventures will also be along with you and not any other company.
Ms. Ananya, while the idea of those other ventures sounds amazing, I am also running a business here, and I hope you understand that we have also consulted with our financial managers, and unfortunately 42 weeks is where we draw the line. And while I love to work on other ventures as well, I love the work that your company does. And again, reiterating what I had said earlier, your vision aligns with us. But 42 weeks is unfortunately the maximum that we can go to, given that the joint insurance policy is also something that your company is not willing to budge on. Perhaps we could renegotiate this figure of 42 weeks if the premium rates on the insurance policy were revised, which is to say that if your company CropTech were to contribute a greater share to that premium amount, perhaps we could revise this figure. Apart from that, I do feel that we're moving around in circles at this point. And since we are running out of time and this is a short session, perhaps we could move on to the next agenda, park this agenda for a while, come back to it later or in the future negotiation sessions that we might have, and discuss the rest of things that we have lined up during this session. What do you think about that, Mr. Nazir?
That's definitely a good idea. We can do that. We can push this aside for a while now and go ahead with the next one. And let's see if we can come back to this in the session.
All right, Ms. Shania, I believe that you were keeping a track of the agenda for the day. If you can just move on to the next agenda.
Right. So the next agenda, sorry,
Right.
you were saying?
You wanted to talk about scientific research and
Yes. So we wanted to propose something. I'll just I think Ananya, you were a better person to start the agenda. Maybe I would continue. The agenda is basically about orchestrating the involvement of an indigenous team of scientists and also orchestrating personal visits to pre-existing processing centers.
Right. So we acknowledge that you are a very experienced firm in this regard. You have been you've been in Australia though, but you have experience in this field. So we wanted in-person visits to your processing centers back in Australia in order to gauge how the operations work or the operational dynamics work, because then we could be able to replicate that with modifications, of course, because again, the conditions here are totally different. So we wanted to do that, and we wanted to replicate the best practices here with some modifications, because the government would also want us to see if we are incorporating the best practices and taking and deriving the benefit from the other part of the company, which is an expert in the field back in Australia. So that being one of the things that we would want in-person visits granted to your processing centers. And secondly, that considering, as one of you rightly pointed out, that India has varied soil conditions, like I'm sure you use the word precarious, but I wouldn't really agree to that. There are multiple types of soil depending reacts to the rain and all of that. Considering that in for example, in Pune we have black rock type of soil, but in Australia we have desert and semi-desert type of soil. That's a varied soil. So to understand the nuances of the Indian soil, we believe it should be like our team should be complemented by indigenous scientists, that is Indian scientists as well, and so as to better understand the soil dynamics and all of that. This is not to say that we are not allowing Australian scientists at all. We could always work hand in hand and proceed with this arrangement.
So just to put it in order, we're proposing two things: involvement of indigenous scientists and personal visits to processing centers. Now, in the first one, what Ananya and CropTech are actively willing to do is that they want to engage local experts who are intimately familiar with the agricultural practices, environmental conditions, and challenges specific to India. Now, these experts bring a deep understanding of the nuances of Indian agriculture and can contribute valuable insights into tailoring agri-tech solutions to the local context. With respect to personal visits to processing centers, what we wish to do is, in your pre-existing processing centers, arrange a team to physically visit and observe what these processing centers have already established. These visits provide a first-hand opportunity for the CropTech team to gain a comprehensive understanding of the operational workflows, technology implementations, and also challenges faced by the existing processing centers.
All right, Ananya, what I understand from your statements is that you wish to build an indigenous network of scientists as well. So what you're envisioning essentially is almost a share of technology of sorts. Is that what you're looking for? That we also perhaps train local scientists, local employees, and allow them an insight into the technologies that we use?
I'd like to clarify. So I didn't mean training our employees and all of that, because we are indigenous scientists. The team of scientists are already well equipped with whatever knowledge they have regarding the Indian dynamics in the Indian market. So that aside, we just wanted them to be in the team along with, say, your share of scientists. The second part being, we wanted an insight as to how the operations work in the processing center, because this is the first time we are entering into this venture. So we'd like to incorporate the best practices from there, along with and modify it with, say, the Indian touch required in it, and go ahead with it. So this is not to say that we are asking for technology transfer. This is us, because we already we have the technology. We know how to harness the technology. It's just that we want to know about the daily operations and how things work out there. Not the technology. I'm reiterating myself.
So, Ms. Sana, if I have to reiterate it, I believe that it's not technology sharing, but about observation of the processing center that you're more concerned with.
Definitely, right? About the operations that goes on, how the reporting, the hierarchy works, all of that.
Also, another question there is that, like, can't that observation be done by any other regular employee? Why is it necessary for Indian scientists, especially like indigenous scientists, to go to the Australian processing centers?
No, wait, just a second. I'll clarify. I think maybe the thing came off as strong. So we wanted to say that we will make personal visit. It's not that the scientists will visit. These are regular employees, can be the CEO himself, so that they can go to the Australian center and meet your management, the CXOs of there. But it's not that our scientists want to go. The top positions can also go, not the regular employees. We cannot leave a big decision regarding that with the regular employees, but the top positions will go, not the scientists. Let me clarify that.
Ms. Ananya, if it is just an interaction among employees that you're seeking, I don't think we'd have a problem with that, given that this is a joint venture and these employees that you speak of will also be working on that joint venture. We don't have a problem with your employees, our employees visiting our centers. But we'd like to talk more about the research and development, because I felt that initially I felt that this was where the agenda would go. And so I feel that this is something that could also help us reach a common consensus with regard to the first agenda. Perhaps our teams could work together on research and development on the soil, as you said, because the soil is not, or the elements or the consistency, the properties of the soil are not uniform throughout the country. So perhaps those factors that we'd identified in other operations of ours, perhaps those could be mitigated by effective research and development. And this is something that our teams could together work on. And perhaps they would be able to better mitigate all of the apprehensions that we have with regard to this.
So to clarify what the proposal actually is that our indigenous scientists and your set of scientists collaborate and then do the research. Did I get your proposal correctly?
Yes, that's right.
Right. Ananya, would you like to respond to that?
Definitely. Of course, joint venture is the common success for both of us, right? So, of course, both of us scientists can work together. Otherwise, if it's, say, a one-sided scientist, then we won't have diverse views on the panel. So, yes, obviously, we agree to both the scientists working together on the Indian soil conditions. However, I believe that in case of, say, any dispute regarding as to the understanding of the soil conditions or understanding of the say an interpretation, if there exists two different interpretations of the soil regarding the soil matters, or say the trees, or however the carbon regarding issues of India, we believe like this is a small ask, but let the indigenous team of scientists have the final say, because again, these scientists have been handpicked and they have been selected from a very talented pool, and they have former understanding in the Indian soil aspects. So if you could just agree on that they might have the final say in regards if there's any dispute. Otherwise, of course, these are scientists, they're kind of bright academic minds. I'm sure there will be very rare chances of a dispute happening, but just in case, because of their former understanding and because of the better understanding and better experience of the Indian soil, if they could have the final say in this, can we have an agreement on that?
Thank you for clarifying that, Ananya, because I feel like the proposals earlier were very vague. I feel that since ours is more of a technology-based solution, I mean, the contribution that we're bringing to the table here is more technology-based. I don't think that allowing a final say is something that we can just grant to Indian scientists, because we can't afford a discord within this operation, right? And so perhaps a final say is not something that we can agree upon at this juncture, especially given the fact that our scientists do not know a lot about the Indian market either, or our employees aren't aware of the Indian market either, which means that I feel that more communication would be more beneficial for this venture as opposed to allowing a team of scientists to have the last word. Secondly, with regard to the research and development, I am sure this is, we're both well aware that this is a joint venture, but what I meant to say by proposing that we do this in a collaborative manner was that perhaps the Indian government fund this research into identifying the aspects of the soil that might be detrimental or might affect the success of this venture. That is what we meant by investing in research and development in a collaborative manner, which is that our scientists would be helping domestic scientists as well, but perhaps CropTech or the Indian government could finance that project.
I think.
And sorry, my counsel had a question. If you could just clarify the question.
Thank you, Max. Also, just to clarify, so far, it's okay. Max is allowed for personal visits to be done in Australian processing centers, obviously by the employees or the scientists of the company, yes. But exactly in exchange for that, in a sense, we are asking if the joint research and development could be funded either by CropTech or by the government of India, since it has been repeatedly mentioned during the session that government of India has backed the project, and obviously it is the government of India. So I believe they have the finances to do it. Is that a proposal that can be considered, given that we've also considered something?
All right. Could you just give us the exact specifics of are you planning to divide the investments and the contribution?
So the research and development with regard to the main project, the way we share costs for the same, those costs would remain the same. However, a separate team is something that we wish to constitute in order to facilitate research and development specifically for the nature of soil in these territories that we're planning to set up our operations on, which means that only these specific teams that have been constituted for the specific purpose, these teams be funded by CropTech or the Indian government is what we're proposing here.
Right, but what I see is that we are running short on time. So what we can do is I can lay down my proposal and we can all we have heard your proposal, and I'll just finally lay down my proposal before we close for this session. Otherwise, we'll run out of time. So what I would have suggested is that maybe a team is not necessary, because that will again cost us, because our indigenous set of scientists have already conducted market research and say the other researches that are needed in order to understand the soil dynamics and soil requirements and all of that. So in case further this one research is required, we have your scientists, we have our scientists. I do not believe we exactly need a separate team, because that will again lead us to increased costs. And again, as I've reiterated multiple times throughout the session, that we have to be answerable for the costs incurred. So that would be our proposal. And then we can always go back and forth regarding this in further sessions. So I'd like my council to conclude as to what have we agreed on and what are the agendas that we have set for the next session. But before that, I'd again, for concluding this, I'd like to thank Max and her council for turning up today for this wonderful round of negotiation. Of course, we would have wanted this negotiation to come to an end, but big business decisions cannot be taken in a day. And considering that we are trying to achieve a common goal, I believe it may take one or two more sessions in order to come to a fruitful conclusion. So with that, I thank both of you. And I also thank Ms. Shanaya for assisting me in this process. Thank you very much.
Definitely, Ananya. Thank you for the collaborative spirit that was shown today in this session. Just to summarize what all has been done today in the session. We were not able to get an agreement on the first agenda. However, I do believe that we've agreed in principle. And the rest of the terms of all of the agendas and everything else, I believe we can renegotiate in the rest of the negotiation sessions. Other than the first agenda, in the second agenda, we've obviously agreed in the scientific agenda. We've agreed, Max has agreed to personal visit to granting CropTech personal visits to Austrian processing centers. And in exchange of it, there was a proposal made for the funding of a separate division of the resource and development, which is obviously still in works, which ran short of time. But I think we can discuss them in the next session, and I believe that this was a fruitful discussion. Thank you so much, Ananya and Shanaya, for being here.
Thank you, Harsha. I'll just summarize quickly where we actually stopped at so that we know where we are at, and then we can resume the next negotiation session from there. For the first agenda, I think we agreed on the joint insurance policy, of course, provided that the compensation clause be addressed adequately. For us, we stopped at a 0.2% and 50 weeks. However, you wanted it to get down to 42 weeks. So we are still figuring that out. For the second agenda, you've agreed, obviously, for personal visits by the employees, and a team would be made for the same. Of course, we were talking about whether Australian scientists or scientists from any other country could work on our project together. Of course, I think that there was a slight bit of disagreement that maybe the final say could be with the Indian scientists because they know the soil better, and we had a little bit of reservation to a foreign methodology being applied. But of course, having said that, I do think Rome wasn't built in a day, and we've genuinely made substantial progress in this negotiation session. I would like to thank you for being so patient with us, and I definitely think we'll crack it up in the next negotiation session. Thank you.
Thank you for summarizing that in such a succinct manner, Madam Council. I feel that we have made significant headway into reaching a consensus, a mutually amicable one. And Ananya, thank you for showing so much flexibility and so much candor during the course of this session. It was a delight talking to you, and I am sure that together we will, during the course of the preceding negotiation sessions, be able to reach a common consensus, one that addresses the concerns of both crop tech and harvest hub. What I gathered from this session is that at least our visions are aligned. And I am glad that I was able to understand your interests and also put my interests forth. I think this has laid the groundwork for our preceding sessions. And I think I am very hopeful for what lies ahead of us. And thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, participants, thank you so much for that. And with that, we come to a conclusion of our final rounds as well. Uh, Now, if I may just confirm with the judges, Peter ma'am and Siti ma'am.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll just send the participants in a breakout room and you both can discuss among yourselves or just complete the scoring and then we'll move on to the valedictory set. If that's all right.
Okay.
Peter ma'am and Siti ma'am, are you able to access the score sheet? All right. I believe all the participants are here. All right. With this, we come to the end of the entire 2-day negotiation competition. That is NLUO's first national negotiation competition in collaboration with GAJE. We thank all the participants that have taken part. We have witnessed multiple stunning rounds with extremely good negotiations, technical negotiations, and that has been appreciated by a panel of judges whose professions ranged from being associated to law firms, being practitioners in mediations, and also being senior advocates and uh, professionals involved in conflict resolution. Now, the time that we all had been waiting for is here now. We are at the valedictory ceremony for the first NLUO-GAJE National Negotiation Competition. And the teams are here and scoring has been completed. And our respected judges have come with an opinion as well, have come with a decision for the final round. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Akash Kumar before the results I just invite him, our faculty advisor of the area board of NLUO. He's been associated with us since the last few years, since its inception, and I invite him to address the judges for today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so pleased to, having been given a chance to, address all of you on this occasion. And I see, family, I would like to start with, thanking all the judges, including this, first of all, the judges for today's session here, Mr. Iram Majid and Stuti Garg, that they have provided some. I firmly believe that you must have given some deep insight into the into the negotiation practice and your feedback, and that whatever that while you have judged it, that will surely go a long way in helping the teams in getting more depth of this entire negotiation practice. Also, at the same time, I would also like to thank the other judges who have they have sat for the previous rounds, judging the other previous rounds and teams. And see, this entire negotiation, I would say, is a suitably timed competition, since we have found a newfound interest here, especially for the past 5 years. We have seen a lot of legislations in India, particularly bringing in mediation, of course, assisted negotiation here as a part of compulsory court practice. We have seen that in across commercial laws, also non-commercial laws like family courts and your other transactions like your consumer courts and all. So this is a well-timed effort by this board. So let me thank here, first of all the judges, our title sponsors, and all the other sponsors, media partners as well, because I'm sure that you have been very patient in giving your time, first of all agreeing to judge this competition, and thereafter I have been told that there were so many disruptions there because of network and other issues which were I would say that beyond our control, but your patience is really appreciated here. We really thank you for that. And also I would like to thank all the participating teams here who maybe have not made it to the final rounds, but still they have a lot to carry with them, a lot of experience and knowledge and a depth analysis of things that they would cherish and carry it with them to their respective schools. For this competition, our Vice Chancellor ma'am and Registrar, Vice Chancellor ma'am, Professor Ved Kumari, and Registrar Sir Professor Rangin Pallab Tripathi, they couldn't make it to this even because of their other prior commitments here, but I'm sure that they have done a lot of work and providing all the logistic and other help in successfully organizing this entire event, and that all the other our financial team and other staff, they also equally deserve a praise here. And also I would like to finally congratulate the ADR board and all the student committee members and also the volunteers who have, painstakingly they have been, sitting together, coordinating all these things. So big congratulations to them as well. So before we go on to, announce for all of these results here, I would congratulate here everyone, because see the all the participating teams, they are there. Those who couldn't make it here, as we say, that basis of this negotiation is that is a win-win for all. So I hope that you would take this line from at least the entire competition, that though we have results and marks based analysis here, but it's a win-win for all, and all of you would have something to take and to add to your knowledge and experience here. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing the entire gathering. Now, with this, I would just like to give the entire crowd the insight into the final round. This entire meeting and the finals has been broadcasted via NLUO's YouTube channel as well. And that was live, and it has been well appreciated by the entire crowd. And just the further insight into the final round, our judges for the panel of the finals were Ms. Tuti Garg. She is an assistant public prosecutor with the Central Bureau of Intelligence and has a vast experience with litigation and also investigations that come as per her post. And we would also like to introduce Ira Majid ma'am, who is an executive director at AppCamp and also a director at Indian Institute of Arbitration and Mediation. And we are very pleased to have you, ma'am. As I was mentioning you before, that a lot of us have had the privilege of being judged by you in our respective competitions, and now we are glad that you're here judging our very own competition and the very first edition itself. Now, before we pass on the baton to our esteemed judges, I would ask Vipasha Pasha Verma from the ADR board to deliver the vote of thanks.
Hi everyone, I am Vipasha, and it is with immense gratitude and appreciation that I deliver a vote of thanks today for the resounding success of the first NLUO-GAJE National Negotiation Competition. This event has not only showcased the remarkable talents of our participants, but has also exemplified the power of collaboration, dedication, and the shared passion that we all share for ADR. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, Ma'am, Professor Ved Kumari, whose visionary leadership and support has been instrumental in making this event possible. Her commitment to providing a platform for experiential learning has truly empowered the students in their academic journey. Secondly, we extend our sincere thanks to our esteemed collaborators, GAJE, our title sponsor, Mohit Mukal Mediation, Indian Dispute Resolution Center, AIIMAS, and the Mediation Center at High Court of Odisha as our resource partners, and Live Law as our media partner. Their unwavering support and cooperation have been pivotal in making this competition a reality. We also express our deepest gratitude to our honorable judges, whose wisdom, insight, and critical feedback have played an integral role in evaluating and guiding our participants throughout this competition. Further, we would also express our sincere gratitude to the participants who showcased their exceptional negotiation skills, your unwavering enthusiasm for this culture and for ADR truly elevated the standards of this event. A special acknowledgement is due to our dedicated faculty advisors, Mr. Akash Kumar and Mr. Akshay Verma, who have guided us throughout this journey for the culmination of this event. It would not have been possible without them. Lastly, I would like to thank a group of exceptional individuals comprising of our organizing committee, who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the seamless execution of this competition. Your meticulous planning, attention to detail, and dedication have been the cornerstone of this event's success, and we extend our heartfelt appreciation to each one of you. As we draw the curtains to this event, may the skills that you have honed within this competition and the connections that you've established here continue to serve you throughout your careers. Once again, thank you for making this competition a resounding success. And we, as the ADI board, will continue to strive for more successful initiatives. Thank you.
All right. So Yashanandani, member of the area board, would like to announce the result for the best negotiating pair in the preliminary rounds. And it is N23, Symbiosis Law School, Pune. Congratulations, guys. Now I would like to invite Iram
and such level of competition, and where, as I know that the negotiation is not very common in India so far. So if you are doing so good in negotiations, that means that you people are having or possessing that kind of quality which are very good for even now you say that great lawyers also. So these kind of competitions are building a next generation and inculcating best practices of negotiations in you, which is very difficult to get otherwise, even in the law colleges. So now I'm going to announce a winner that is now very probable and 25. So congratulations. Well, thank you so much, Nandini, for having me here. And
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for announcing the results. So there it is. It's N25, that is NLIU Bhopal. So congratulations to the entire team. A stunning job done, a great performance by both the teams. Congratulations for winning the entire competition and making it through all the 27 other teams and winning the entire competition. Congratulations also to N23, that's Symbiosis Law School, Pune. A great performance and very well appreciated by all the judges in the prelim rounds and the semis and the finals as well. So thank you so much for your participation, and we wish you all the best for all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. With that, we would come to an end of the entire competition. Thank you so much for supporting us throughout the competition and making this a success. Thank you.